Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer. Today's debate could not have been timelier as COP27 continues in Egypt. And if we are to become a truly net zero Scotland, we have to ensure that forestry plays a significant contribution in delivering this. That's why there is much in the Scottish Government's motion to be welcomed, particularly the renewed commitment to increase the annual woodland creation target to 18,000 hectares by 2025. But members have been right to highlight the need for us to increase our use of domestic timber and to make commercial forestry more sustainable. Members have also stressed the need to maintain and develop a highly skilled workforce to ensure that forestry can make a significant contribution towards Scotland's transition to net zero. And we've heard from Richard Leonard of the continuing injustice of Scotland's land ownership, including how it impacts on our efforts to achieve net zero.
Mark Ruskell.
Can I thank the member for giving way? Can I just ask her, as a member for the North East and a Labour and Cooperative Party member, if she backs the move from the Scottish Government to take the Glenprosen estate into public ownership?
Mercedes Villalba.
I would like to see a lot more of Scotland's land in public ownership and in community ownership. The Conservative amendment refers to commercial forestry, and this is an issue which I want to address. We have to recognise that the land use sector, which includes forestry, is a major contributor to net emissions. And in order to reduce emissions, we have to look at ways to make forest management more sustainable. Currently, commercial forestry is managed largely through the use of the clear fell model, with most or all trees in an area cut down. The alternative approach would be to manage commercial forestry through the continuous cover model. This would help us to develop structurally, visually and biologically diverse forests while lessening the impact on soil carbon stocks, which clearly has benefits for our transition to net zero. I don't think I have time, sorry. The Scottish Government's commitment to increase the use of domestic timber is welcome because the current situation is unacceptable. Forestry and Land Scotland has highlighted that the UK currently imports 80% of its annual timber requirement, leaving us in the position of often having to rely on imported wood for house building and other infrastructure projects. The Scottish Government should seek to learn from the examples set in other countries, such as Sweden and Australia, where publicly owned timber companies ensure that a greater proportion of domestic timber is used for domestic house building and infrastructure development. Our Labour amendment emphasises the need to ensure that forestry plans increase biodiversity alongside meeting woodland creation targets. We're calling for at least 50% of tree cover expansion in Scotland to comprise native species, given native tree species provide habitats for our native wildlife. Planting trees on deep peatlands leads to significant soil carbon losses, which is why England has adopted a 30-centimetre deep peat definition, which prevents tree cover expansion and limits restocking. Given that Scotland's current deep peat definition remains at 50 centimetres, I hope to hear from the Minister what consideration she's given to adopting the 30-centimetre definition. Members have already noted the importance of a skilled forestry workforce, which is vital if we're to maximise forestry's contribution to net zero. Labour has previously called for the creation of a Scottish Conservation Corps, modelled on the Civilian Conservation Corps of Roosevelt's New Deal. It would help to deliver green jobs and provide a workforce dedicated to restoring and preserving Scotland's natural environment, including our forests. The Scottish Government has also recently conducted a consultation on proposals for its land reform bill. As other members have highlighted, Scotland's land ownership is heavily concentrated in the hands of a wealthy few. The emergence of green lairds is a sign of these wealthy few continuing to use Scotland's land for their own interests, namely to offset their emissions. The Scottish Government must be bolder and deliver a cap on land ownership. A cap would help to end the injustice of Scotland's current land ownership, empowering communities and public bodies to acquire land for the common good. Presiding Officer, while today's debate has rightly seen the Scottish Government held to account over missed targets, I believe there have been many positive proposals put forward on this issue. I hope the Scottish Government will reflect some of these proposals to ensure that we have the skilled workforce needed, that biodiversity is improved and that the use of domestic timber is increased. Because if we're serious about maximising forestry's contribution to net zero, the Scottish Government will need to work with all parties, with trade unions and with campaigners to make this a reality.